You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
Hello everyone, welcome to our next patch guide video. Today we're breaking down all the new additions, the fixes, and the changes introduced by build 41.56. Another patch heavily implementing some more of the noise work updates, as well as some new model and animation changes as well, plus a host of new fixes. Before we dive in, however, I'd like to thank Foxfire for her lovely artwork on today's video. Now let's dive in, break down the patch, shall we? There's only been a handful of new additions with this patch that aren't animation or sound work specific, so let's begin with the controller related addition. Now if a container is full, it'll be disabled in the Move to Controller Context submenu, so you can't accidentally try to put something somewhere it won't go. Now if you're using the walk to or other timed action movements, you can aim your gun and continue to move, instead of being halted in your tracks. There is now a radio menu for light sources which can be accessed by holding down the F key. What a delightful change. There's now an option to have the camera pan while you're driving, which will move the camera in front of the car to get better visibility of the road or terrain ahead. This option is off by default due to previous issues, so turn it on if you want to test it out. Now there is new script properties called recipe.stoponwalk and recipe.stoponrun. These determine if a recipe is stopped by the action of walking or running respectively, and this currently is only used to allow you to mess with batteries and a flashlight while you're walking. This just about covers all the new changes they've made, so let's move on to the animation and model specific changes that have been done for old Bald Spot and Kate. Now there isn't a huge amount of changes done to the model and such this time, and they're all pretty much related to undergarments and bathing suits. First up, now when a male is naked, the default underwear has been changed to be smaller and more closely resemble briefs instead of boxers they previously were. Poor Bob forgot his pants and now all the zombies are gonna touch his ding ding dong. Now the female bra has been changed to a strapless design. This is disappointing, as I personally prefer my women with straps, though those tend to be around the waist. These changes have also been implemented to the zombie textures as well. And the last change in this regard is the fact that bikinis and swimsuit textures have been somewhat adjusted to fit the new female underpants and bra designs. Overall, it's not a huge amount of changes in this regard, and it was entirely related to clothing. Speaking of which, one of the devs did tease that the 400th item they made for Zomboid just recently was a stereotypical pair of white boxers with hearts on them, so be on the lookout for undies in the future updates. There's been a damn good pile of noise work related changes added to the game, including a plethora of new hitting sounds for a large variety of weapons. These include the 3 different types of axes, the pickaxe, the badminton tennis rackets, the hockey stick and lacrosse stick, the broom, the fishing rod, the pool cue, the garden hoe, the rake and the leaf rake, the shovel and snow shovel, and the 3 spiky weapons, that being a spiked bat, a plank, and a spiked pickaxe handle. Baseball bat also has a new bonk. Plus the canoe paddle. The golf club. And finally, the old plain plank. Honestly, this section sounds like quite a hit to me, but this isn't all. There's also a new setup for when a regular hit sounds different from a hit that knocks a zombie down, as well as the finishing blow sound effect being different and more impactful, which is pretty dope. There's also been new farming related sounds for plowing, seeding, watering, and harvesting. The drinking sounds have also been adjusted to fit the animations more accurately. There's also been more tweaks to the situation where there's a large amount of different noises, especially including engine noise when in or around a horde. This includes addressing issues where sounds will get lost or distorted during those busy periods like when it's raining heavily. Speaking of rain, puddles have also had their loudness knocked down some more due to the devs feeling it was still a little too loud. And the final Soundworks related change is that you should no longer hear seagull noises when you're in town. This just about covers everything related to the noise work update for this patch. So now let's move on to the fixes, shall we? Now we'll take a good look at what's been fixed and changed for this update. First up, now you should be able to apply the mildew cure to plants as it was previously broken. Now, you can no longer phase through obstacles after climbing a tall fence, so no more going Raven and phasing through reality for you. Now, metal drums shouldn't throw up a lure error when it rains, and there's been a few zombie related changes, so let's go through those, shall we? First up, now when you shove a zombie from behind, it should no longer cause it to move towards you instead of away from you. Now zombies should no longer flip over while they're being beaten face down, and speaking of, when you kill a zombie face down, it should now stay face down. Now zombies' bump animation should finish slower so they can't attack as quickly after being bumped or shoved away. And finally, now zombies can't open locked carpentry doors. I guess they lost their spare keys? If you play split screen, and now player 2's getting up animations don't get messed up when you hit the movement key. Now the hit reaction animation for when you get hit by zombies should no longer drag on way longer than it should. Now your engine isn't fucking invincible when you remove the hood. In the tutorial, there has been 2 changes as well. Now the frying pan's condition should reset after you kill the zombie in the tutorial, and if by some ungodly force manage to break it, then it should properly spawn a new one to replace it. When you're trying to set an alarm, it should no longer hide the dialogue just because your character turned. And the final fix that I find of note is the fact that welding sounds when you build metal objects no longer play for far longer than they should. Now let's move on to the wrap-up, shall we? While once again another small patch, there still comes a host of good changes, including some quality fixes, and I'm enjoying the further implementation of Soundworks. I'm glad they're further diversifying the sounds, especially for combat so it doesn't sound like you're fighting zombies with the same weapon, when they're clearly different. I mean, a rolling pin shouldn't sound like a baseball bat. Not to mention they've also added variations for context-sensitive cases, such as a hit that knocks a zombie down or even one that kills them. This is a good change in my opinion. Overall, it seems like another fairly solid patch. Keep up the good work, indie dev, y'all. Now, I'd like to once again thank Foxfire for her lovely artwork. Be sure to check her work out below, and this has been Core. I'll see you next time.